Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode number 192 of the Debt Free Dad podcast. So beyond the dollars and cents and calculations that make up our financial lives lies a profound truth, which is the cornerstone of financial success lies in our habits. Yes, it's in our daily behaviors, our choices, our mindset that we discover the keys to unlocking the greatest financial transformations. And we've featured a lot of those transformations with our Roots members on the Debt Free Dad podcast here over the last 4 years. Now, today we're going to be diving into the incredible impact of shifting our habits and how these changes have not only transformed our finances, but also our entire lives. Stick around.
You're listening to the Debt Free Dad podcast with Brad Nelson. Brad and his co-hosts experience the anxiety of living paycheck to paycheck before learning the fundamentals of financial security. They are now on a mission to empower regular people to pay off their debt for good and enjoy happier, less stressful lives. Keep listening for inspirational interviews, tips, tricks, and practical advice to gain financial freedom.
Hey, how's everyone doing today? You can find us on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. Just search Brad Nelson, Debt Free Dad. And as always, welcome to today's show. Remember to get all the resources, show notes, and links for today's show. You can head over to thedebtfreedadpodcast.com and check out episode 192. Again, that is the debtfreedadpodcast.com. And just check out episode 192. There is a search bar right there. And you can search for any of the episodes and search through all 192 episodes that we have now, which is really, really cool. So, hey, if you joined us on episode 191, which was last week, and you were a little ticked off, today's a little better. Because if you came back and you're like, you know what, maybe, just maybe, it is my fault for my financial situation, and I need to listen to these guys a little bit more. Today, we're actually going to dive a little bit deeper into habits, behaviors, and choices, which is really, like I said in the introduction, about where real transformation is going to lie. And today, I just want to have a discussion with the podcast team here and really just kind of talk about before and after of what life looked like before and after, and then talking about some of the behaviors, habits, and choices, maybe some of the bigger things that we did in our lives to get ourselves out of debt. I know Katie here is still working her way out of debt, but has successfully paid off $127,000 on a single income. The rest of us are debt-free outside of our mortgages. I believe everyone's right? Everyone's outside of mortgages, right? Yes, okay. So we've all have kind of gone through this and have been here. Some of us have been here for quite a while already. So I think, we've got a lot of good experience in this. And I think that's one other reason why we've been as successful as we have here at Debt Free Dad and helping a lot of people is because when you can change your habits and your behaviors and choices, you can go a long way. And these, again, are just normal people making normal incomes that are doing some of this stuff. And it's just life-changing what some of these little simple changes can do. Simple as far as simple ideas. Hard to do, right? But simple ideas, no question. So, guys, real quick, we'll go around the group, but how much of your habits and mindset played a role in getting out of debt and staying out of debt, in your opinion?
It's 100% why I'm out of debt or getting out of debt now versus when I tried to do it all by myself. That didn't work.
Yeah.
Once I made the mindset change and got a significant way of being out of debt and realized that I'm going to make it. I'm going to get out of the debt. At that point, it was simply, I'm never going to go back to anything old that I used to do. This works way, way too well. My peace of mind, my relationship with my wife, I would like to think her relationship with me has improved. There's no contest. There's absolutely no contest. Granted, I've been doing this a long time now, and the habits are still there. They're never going to go away. How I execute some things and how I go about doing some things may have changed. And even now, sometimes on a whim, I will do things, but I don't borrow money to do it. And I've got the money to do it. And there's so much joy and happiness that comes with that.
I think just what you said, Chris, about not borrowing money when you don't have it. Just that one rule. If so many people would adopt that, Like if I can't afford to pay cash, I'm just not going to buy it. How much that can save you. But how easy of a rule it is to break nowadays.
It's so hard.
It is so hard.
So hard to stick to. Like Paul just showed me, my husband just showed me about, we've been looking at not upgrading our boat, but just like fixing it up and changing the motor and stuff like that. And he showed me this and I was like, yeah, it's a great deal. And I looked at him like, he goes, we could go look at it right now. Literally, we had this conversation in the car today and I thought about it and I was like, yeah, but where are we getting the money for it? And you could see his whole demeanor. He just crushed. He's like, yeah, I guess.
You know what he's really thinking in the back of his head? I hate Brad.
Probably. We were like doing adult things today and signing our wills. And anyways, it was an emotional day, I guess.
Here's the thing, though.
His boat dream.
No, you did not. He just can't have it today. That's the thing.
Mean, I really wanted it too, though, you guys.
We'll save up and buy it.
Like, you know what I mean? So
although I would buy a boat. What does boat stand for? Break out another 1,000.
Yeah.
But here we're just restoring my grandfather's boat, but we want to like bring it back, and we just don't have the right motor for that.
Well, that's different. I could certainly understand that, but then that's the thing about
we got to save.
Right. That's the good thing about doing things differently in the money habits that we're talking about. It doesn't mean you can't have it. It just means you can't have it today.
Right.
Okay,
and that's probably where the mindset shift has changed, hasn't made us stay out of debt, is because we have these conversations with each other and we're like, yeah, we probably shouldn't do that right now. Let's plan for it.
Right now. That's the key word, right now.
Yeah.
And
we always have what would Brad do in the back of our brain. And then would Brad get mad at me if I did this?
I can just see it. Brad's like phoning. I saw your post on Facebook.
It's a daily struggle. If I leave the house, I'm like, what am I going to spend today?
It's still so weird.
If you're a new listener, where Brad doesn't really creep on your stuff.
No.
I'm thankful I got out of debt before I met Brad.
Seriously, I still shake my head about that. When did they put that together? Was that like the first year we started?
Yeah.
It's like back in 2016.
Yeah.
Our members.
WWBD.
They did. Yeah, they did. They created that saying. And I'm like, that's silly, but it's stuck for what?
It has stuck
7 years now.
But if you're not sure what to do and you're in roots and Brad's your leader and you're not sure what to do, well, what would Brad do?
Exactly.
You don't want to do things wrong, and Brad's got all the answers. I mean, I'm sure that's the mindset, right?
Brad is not a cult leader.
But
just put that out there.
I brought some Kool-Aid.
I understand where Amber's coming from, though, because, I think for us, so we bought an inflatable hot tub a year and a half ago, and like we want a real hot tub. We bought it because we wanted to try it and see if we'd liked it before we bought it. And it's just, I think where my mindset and where, over the habits and everything we've developed, I mean, it is easy, especially now, especially when you get on the other side of debt. It's so easy to say it's $200 a month. That's easy. That's a drop in the bucket.
Yep.
We can afford $200 a month. But $200 a month leads to another thing that's $50 a month, and another thing that's $75, and that's the old life I lived. And so that was my old lifestyle, my old way of doing things. It just payments. And I think that's where my mindset is. Just, I don't want that over my head. I want to sit in it and know that I don't have to pay for it, and that it's paid for and it's ours, and I don't have to worry about it.
Right.
And that's just that's just such an incredible feeling. I remember when we went on our first vacation after we got out of debt, and we paid fully in cash, and we got back, and it was like one of the first vacations I took that I wasn't like during the vacation thinking about how we're going to pay for this, and after the vacation so upset that we went and paid all this money. It was like the first true vacation I had where I came back and I was like, man, that was awesome and fun, and I don't have to worry about it. And that's just so much better than, and trust me, we went on a lot of, Mickey Mouse vacations and posted a lot of pictures that were like, man, how can you afford that? We charged it all. we probably paid them 2 times the amount of money that those vacations really cost. Those credit card companies loved us back then.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing you say is this, that you enjoy, I don't know, how do you blow up a inflatable hot tub? First of all,
he's in the backyard.
Is that how the water gets hot in it?
Yeah. It's just a mini pool, and then we each have straws. It's really not that cool.
So, what I'm hearing you say, though, is you would much rather do that than have a hot tub payment.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just got back from my, I think, 5th vacation that I paid in cash, whereas most of my vacations before Roots were on a card, and I'm still paying for them 10 years later, probably. I'm getting out of it, but I just have such more relaxing vacations. Like I went to the chiropractor today for my lower back from sleeping on a bed that's not mine for a week. And then she's like, but your neck and your shoulders where all your stress is, you don't have any of that. I'm like, yeah, because I could actually relax on vacation. It is truly physically like it is a thing, like mental stress, physical stress, it's melted away. And I'm still paying off debt, but I'm in such a better place.
So 2 things there. First of all, you can go on vacations that are paid for, even though you're trying to get out of debt. The second thing there is maybe you don't go on vacations anymore, and it'll save you the chiropractor bill. And you can put all that money towards your debt, and you'll be out of debt faster.
I actually hurt my back before I left on vacation, and then I was sleeping on a memory foam mattress the whole time, and my back needs way more support than that. So it was just a compilation of things. I even was checking my chiropractor's schedule the morning I was supposed to leave, going, can I still make my flight if I go in? And she didn't have any appointments that morning. So I'm just like, all right, I'll deal with it on the beach. It's fine.
I think we need to get Ryan as an inflatable hot tub and do a podcast episode.
Hey, don't knock it, man. It's awesome.
No, I want to go back to what Katie said about vacation is so much more relaxing. I'm just going to just up that and say life is just way more relaxing. You know, I think, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's still times where, money is something when you're debt free. I don't know if I use the word worry or stress. It's different. You pay attention to it a little bit more during certain situations, I guess. When I lost Sarah, obviously I was paying attention pretty close. I wouldn't call it stressful, but your spidey senses, let's just say, are a little raised up, right? When you're going through certain situations. Whereas opposed to when you're in debt, it's like crisis to crisis living all the time. I mean, I can't even say that I would ever relax doing anything because it was just something constantly in the back of your mind. And there's so much statistics that support that. People who worry about money at work, they lose sleep. It's one of the number one causes for people's mental health issues is stress and anxiety and, what financial stress can cause. And so I think what Kay said as far as what our habits have changed, at least for me, is just life is just easier to live. Even though life is still hard, it's just one less thing to worry about. And for a lot of us, it's one of the number one things we're worrying about. So even like Katie said, we're still getting out of debt. We hear this a lot in Roots. Like even in the first 60 to 90 days, it's amazing the difference people feel just because they have a plan. They have a system that's working. They're actually making progress. They're starting to save money. They're starting to see hope that they can actually pay down their debt. And the reality is, if they keep going, they will. And so even when you're feeling lousy, it's amazing just by making some few simple changes, how quickly those feelings can change into feeling much better, not being so anxious, not being so stressed. And you have full control over that, and that's the coolest part.
Yeah, like our last episode was about why don't we save for emergencies? Well, because the banks have always said, well, that's why you have a credit card. Credit cards are for emergencies. And that was just what my brain had in the back of my mind before Roots. And now I'm like, I need to get rid of these credit cards. I need to have actual money for emergencies. And before, $500 emergency would have completely stressed me out. I don't have that worry anymore. I know I have to get new tires soon because I just had a low tire pressure light come on and I'm like, oh crap, it is about that time. But if it was a $5,000 emergency, yes, I'm going to stress about that. But I also have a plan, and I still have money that I can put towards that. And it's not like, oh no, life, like I can't eat for the rest of the year or something like that.
Right. Well, and I think the other thing too, when you're, I don't know, for me, I felt like I had less opportunities when I was in debt. I didn't feel that way when I was in debt. I was just stressed. But I think once I got out of debt, I realized, like, holy crap, I have created a lot of new opportunities for myself. I mean, look at this entire business we've created now and helping people get out of debt. And this wasn't the goal in getting out of debt for me, by the way. It just happened, and it turned out to be an opportunity. I was able to take advantage of it. And I was able to quit my full-time job and jump into this full-time, and I lost my income for a while I got this business running. But that was an opportunity I was able to take advantage of. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people just don't realize is that there's so many things that you're saying no to, maybe even subconsciously, because you are in debt. You know, Katie, I think one of the cool things about your journey is when you started, and I actually asked you about this because I made a TikTok. When you started, you were making $13 an hour, like a little over 5 years ago. And so can you talk about, I mean, because you've made some significant transitions into your career and changing jobs, getting promotions. Can you talk about how, like, your finances have played a role in some of that stuff with you?
Yeah. When I think I actually might have found my pay stubs from back then, and I might have actually only been making like $12.50 an hour. And then like 3 months later is when we got a raise all of a sudden. And it was like, oh, great. Yay. I can afford to live now, but like still just barely. And I had confidence all of a sudden, like, oh, I can make changes. I can change my behavior and my mindset and do these things. So maybe I can also apply for a job that pays me more. So I did apply for another job, and I have now gotten 4 promotions at that other company. And 5 years later, I'm making more than double what I was when I was at my original job 5 years ago. And I have lots of flexibility. I love it. My stress level is way less. I was able to move across the country and still keep my job because I was working from home before it was cool. But yeah, it's just like I can be closer to family. I can still I can actually use my PTO to go on actual vacations instead of going home to visit my family in the cold. So I enjoy that. I just have to live in the cold for 8 months of the year. But yeah, it's just, I have less stress. I have less health issues. I have just a better life in general from all the things. And one of the key sparks to start all of that was taking in control of my finances.
Yeah, that's so awesome. And Chris, you same thing. I mean, you're sitting in your ice cream shop, man, slinging ice cream cones.
Well, we're back to being closed on Mondays and Tuesdays. It's a little quiet in here now, thank God. But yeah, you talk about opportunities. Yeah. Opportunity to move. We decided to move. Couldn't find a job doing what I traditionally did, so I just created my own job. Okay, and it's a lot of fun. And I don't have a lot of stress dealing with the business because I know there's no better way to say this, but if it were to fail, I wouldn't feel like I was a failure necessarily. And so it takes a lot of the stress off and allows me to focus on growing and managing and building a business without all that fear of oh my gosh, what am I going to do if I fail?
Right.
And so
from a financial standpoint, right?
Correct. That's my point is, I don't need the business to generate X amount of dollars to be able to pay my bills. So I have time to let it grow. I have time to take some of the money and to reinvest it into things, more equipment or hire people, things like that. And it really, in the grand scheme of things, has been a lot of fun because I haven't had that hanging over my head. A couple of things real quick. I mentioned we're closed. Yesterday night, a couple of weeks ago, I bought a couple of painting packages because my wife has been talking about wanting to paint. Well, one of my employees has also been saying the same thing. I'd love to start learning to paint. Well, I found a company where you can watch their videos. They send you all the canvas. They send you the paintbrushes, the paints. And I just on a whim, I spent like $120 buying this kit for my wife to sit here and one of my workers to sit here and paint. And they're about halfway through. They're going to come in tomorrow and finish it. but that's something that makes me feel good. And I have the ability to do is on a whim, just say, you know what, it's $100. It's going to enrich two people's lives a lot more than the value of the $100. Go ahead and spend it. So you can say no to small things now so that later when you're out of debt, like you're talking about, Brad, you can start a business, or I can start a business, or I can just on a whim buy something. Don't go buy a boat yet, Amber, though. Save up for it.
Save for my boat. Got it.
Right. But that's the thing is you're never saying no for the rest of your life. In fact, you're saying no to small things. So later on you can say yes to really big things. But you got to get through that hurdle first. You got to get over the hill. And then boy, is it so much fun. But one more thing. I know I'm rambling on here.
No, this is good.
Yeah, okay. I've mentioned this before, so it's nothing new, but this is a good point to mention it. Learning what to do about money or how to manage money never goes away. You get completely out of debt. You get a 3 to 6 month worth of emergency fund. You get your kids through college, which is where I'm at now. Now the question is okay, I need to invest. I need to save for retirement. Maybe I want to retire early. How do you do that? The lessons never learn. It's just the pressure that's on you at the moment to learn something new, to fix something. That pressure goes away and it makes it a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah. I was just going to say, when it comes to opportunity, like for me, I mean, this has been there's people listening to this, and I was one of these people for a long time that are stuck in jobs they hate, are stuck in the day-to-day rut of going to work, hating what they do, have dreams of doing something different, but they can't because they got a bunch of stuff they got to pay for. And that used to be my life. And it's just like, this is for me, probably the biggest payoff is not, I mean, there over the course of my career and my working time, there were a number of opportunities that had come my way and I couldn't even entertain it. I couldn't even think about it. It was just an immediate no, because I had payments. So there's no way I could do it. I mean, right. Kind of going back to what Chris was talking about, like, what if I fail? Like if I do this and it doesn't work, well, I mean, we're really going to be in trouble. And just to know that now my life isn't lived that way, you can really kind of capitalize and take advantage of an opportunity. That's a huge thing, and Katie, with the different promotions, taking a different job. I mean, even that is scary when you've got a lot of bills, like moving jobs into a different company is like, well, what if I do that? And what if this? And you have all these what ifs where it's like, once the finances get in order, you might right now be thinking, man, I would love to go to my boss and ask for that raise, but you wouldn't do it right now. But if you got out of debt, maybe you would.
Yeah.
Maybe you would get a little bit more vocal in your job, and maybe that would help you in your current role, or maybe it would help you go to a different company and be more valuable there. So it may not always be about starting big businesses or doing those sorts of things, but it may allow you to live the life you really want to live and do something in your career that you really want to do, instead of just having all the fancy stuff that you have, or having all the things, or the cars, or whatever it is that you have. Are you happy? I mean, are you going to work happy every day? Are you going to work hating that it's Monday and happy that it's Friday? Because all the stuff in the world, all the stuff I had, I was never happy. Not truly, not like I am now. I have way less stuff than I used to have, and I'm so much more happier.
Yeah. I would say that is probably the biggest payoff of habits, behaviors, and choices, is just the freedom that you get. And I would agree. When I started this business, I mean, very much like what Chris and Ryan have both said, is that, when I started this business, yeah, there was fear of failure, but not from a financial standpoint. It was actually like, Chris, like you opening up your ice cream shop. It was fun. In fact, me and Chris we were kind of doing the same thing when we first started. We were. And so I've known Chris for a while as we were getting started, and it was, it's exciting, it's exciting, but it could be the opposite too. Like Ryan said, it doesn't have to be business. Maybe you can work less hours. Maybe you can spend more time with your kids. Maybe you could quit your job and stay home with your kids. Maybe it's a vacation. Maybe it could be a lot of different things that is going to give you new opportunities because of the behaviors, habits, and choices that you're willing to take or willing to change. But but it is. It's so life-changing. And I think, if you're wondering, like, okay, well, where do I get started on changing behaviors and habits and choices? I think, we're going to talk right at the end of this podcast. We're going to give you a workshop. It's free. It's going to give you some great starting points, some things to look at, some things to start doing. Go listen to the episodes that we have here on this podcast. There's so much information we've shared over the last 192 episodes. It really just comes down to just putting your focus on it and really putting in some of that work. But what would you guys say? In your opinion, getting started, what do you feel is like the best thing that they can do? In your opinion, in changing habits and choices, what's one tip that you could give them based on your experience, guys?
Just start.
Just start.
Plain and simple. Even if you have no clue what to do, even if you completely screw it up, start again. Katie, you mentioned this. How many times did you say you dropped off the bandwagon and had to start over again?
Mute. I have, sorry, I was stuck on mute. Lots, countless. I have stopped counting. It's pointless to count how many times I've rebuilt my.
But you wouldn't be where you are today if you hadn't started the first time, correct?
Exactly. Like,
there you go.
100%. I've tried this before on my own, but this works. Like, this really changes everything. And it's what saved marriages. It saved mental stress and health, physical health for a lot of people that have joined. It's huge.
So just start. That's the big thing. And if you don't know what to do next, then what would Katie do?
That's right.
Well, now we're going to put it on me.
I like that one way better.
And then also when you start, if you fall off the bandwagon, you're not going all the way back to zero. You have experience and you have knowledge now. So you're not falling all the way back. You're just taking a step back. So you don't have as far to catch up again when you try again. It's just, if you get knocked down 7 times, if you get up the 8th time, that is success here. That's it. Just keep doing the things. Just keep moving.
That's a great tip.
And I think when you get started though, like, it's a good thing to do is just to get a picture of where you're at. Mm-hmm. Go through that. And we've talked about it lots. Go through your bank, see where your money's going, because that's a really good place to start when you're like, I don't know. What do you mean, Chris? Where do I start? Mm-hmm. It's probably a good place to start is just to get a picture of where you're at, because I think that in itself gave us a really good check on, shoot, we need to change something and do something different here.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's also a good point to look at where you're at, but also a good idea from a behavior, habits, and choices standpoint is looking at where do you want to be. Mm-hmm. In fact, I have like a notebook that I still have today that I was a side-by-side comparison, because I was very much like Ryan was saying. I didn't hate my job, but I just had hit the income ceiling. I just was kind of getting worn out from it. And I had a great boss and great position. I was very grateful to be there, but I just didn't fit that anymore. But at the same time, I was so broke, I didn't have the opportunity to switch jobs and take a different job, because it would have been less money and I wouldn't be able to afford my bills. So I made like a side-by-side comparison of pros and cons of, here's where I'm at, here's where I want to be. And believe it or not, the stuff that I wanted in a job is this business. It's crazy looking back at some of those notes.
That's pretty cool.
Just look at also like where you want to be, and not just from a career standpoint, but just your overall life. Because like Chris and I talk a lot about, Ryan, you mentioned a lot, is like finding your why. Like, why do you want to do the work? Because getting out of debt is hard. It's not easy stuff. We talk about that all the time here on the show. Some of this, for some of us, me included, it's one of the hardest things I ever did was get out of debt. But it's also been one of the best things I've ever done for our life. So I think having the reason behind why you're going to do that work is going to be the motivation behind changing some of those habits and those behaviors, because that's where the hard work comes in. Is a lot of these concepts we talk about are easy. It's the work that is challenging, and then the consistency that needs to go with that work.
So Cranky Chris says this. All right. I don't know how to budget. Just start. I don't know what my why is. Start figuring it out.
Yeah.
I don't make enough money. Start figuring out how to make more money. Action.
See a pattern there.
Action. Yes. It kind of goes back to last week. That's why I jokingly said Cranky Chris. Is stop you're blaming everybody else. Stop coming up with excuses why you can't do it, and just start. You may not get it right. Do it again. You'll figure it out. Read, listen to podcasts like this one, join Brad's program. Just look at the Facebook page and some of the things that you post in there, some of the things that people post and the success that they're having. Learn and keep moving forward.
Yeah. And I would just add for me, don't be discouraged by, you may have a decent amount of debt and you may be thinking, oh, it's going to take me a long time to pay off. Katie, you've been 5 years now?
More than 5 years. 5 years.
It took me almost 8 years. And now I did it. And it's like, now I'm already saying that was 3 years ago. I already finished. So regardless of how much debt or how long you think it's going to take, that time is going to pass by. So if you do nothing, you just keep doing the life you live in, 5 years, Katie, if you did nothing, where would you be? Or 11 years later, where would I be if I did nothing? I mean, it would be a mess. So it's like, don't be discouraged, because it goes by. It's a long haul, but when it's over, it's like, it does feel like, man, it went by pretty quick. Just in the middle of it, it feels like it's going to go by pretty slow.
So the Totally Awesome Debt Freedom Planner is helping so many people make consistent progress with their finances. Whether that be building emergency funds, paying down bills, budgeting, tracking paydays, saving up for larger purchases, goal planning, and planning for those irregular yearly expenses that always seem to catch you by surprise. Now, the Debt Freedom Planner will help you take the stress out of managing your money. And if the thought is running through your mind, hey, I just need to have a simple tool to get my finances together, this planner is perfect for you. Head over to therealdebtfreedad.com, click on the Debt Freedom Planner in the menu at the top of the page, and order your Debt Freedom Planner today.
Let's talk about debt, baby. Let's talk about your money. Let's talk about all the good things, all the bad things that may be. Let's talk about debt.
And that's how it means it's time for the celebrations of the show. First, we have Aaron Hood. I stayed on budget with my trip, so I will have a little left over from the cash I saved to pay off my credit card while overseas.
Yeah, paying off a credit card while on vacation.
Right?
Hell yeah. That's awesome. Kim, is it me?
Yeah.
It is me. Sorry, I was really excited about Aaron. Kim Schmidt. Okay, big win is getting my internet bill down to $56. Other than that, it is just maintenance right now. Trying to stay happy about that, but it's not backwards. And I do want to speak to that because, yes, there are times during the journey where you do stall out a little bit. Life comes up, expenses come up. You got to slow down your debt payoff or your savings. That's okay. You just got to stick with it. And Kim's kind of at that point right now, but still a big win, still looking for ways to save money. So just keep at it.
And sometimes those wins involve paying off the last $300 of your couch, which is what Corey Brown did. Congratulations.
Yeah, way to go, Corey. Congratulations.
Hillary Morse paid off a credit account and all her accounts are current.
Yeah.
That is a big win.
That is a huge win. Way to go, Hillary.
And Cindy Kirkpatrick Hannah, I didn't get talked into a new car.
Woo.
Huge win.
Wow.
Good for you, Cindy. Congratulations. She's just following that simple rule. If you can't pay cash, you can't afford it, right? Simple. Right. Oh, Cindy. Yeah, so hard sometimes, but good job. All right, guys, if you're just getting started with our podcast, or maybe you've been listening for some time and you're interested in how you can get started on the road to financial freedom, go visit our website at debtfreedad.com and sign up for our free Life Without Payments workshop, where I want to show you the first steps that have helped tens of thousands of people just like you and I kick financial stress and worry for good. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Debt Free Dad podcast. Connect with us on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram at Brad Nelson Debt Free Dad. If you found value in today's episode, please leave a rating and review. We so appreciate it. For resources, show notes, and links mentioned in today's show, visit balancedsense.com. That's balancedsense.com. Catch you next week.